Hello and welcome YouTubers to another Shadow Priest guide. Today I'll be going over the PvP side of a Shadow Priest. To start with, I'm going over the stats. Your main priority of a stat is to get your hit cap, then your haste cap, which is 24.97%, then you want to be going for PvP power, PvP resi, crit, then mastery. But because I am not actually got full conquest gear, I prefer that I know for a fact I won't be able to get my haste 25% cap. So I leave it at 14.5%. Just I don't really know why it's at 45%. It should be at 15. I don't know where I've gone wrong in the reforging, but I leave it at that. And I go for crit and mastery. My crit is at 14% and my mastery is at 21%. This gives me a lot more damage. For example, mastery now has, because it's mine, it gives me a 21.7% chance of doubling my damage with my dots. So when you're in an arena, a BG or an RBG and there's a lot of players in front of you, you dot them all up and you can do some very nice damage on them, which makes the healers hard to heal them and have to dispel at all times. Crit chance, another one that I like because it spawns. You have a 100% chance when you crit with a Shadow Pain to spawn a Shadowy Apparition, which does quite a bit of damage to a player. You can have 3 up at a time, so that could do up to 40k damage, maybe 50, depending on your spell power. It also just gives you a better chance of critting anything, really. Hit chance I like to keep at 6% because that's what everyone should have it at, because it's miss chance on a target of level 90, which is other players, is 6%. So you have no miss chance when it's at 6%. PvP power, I'm glad they've brought this in. It's really good. You have I've got a 26% percentage, sorry. I would have more, but I have not got a PvP weapon yet, which I'm hopefully getting next week with the rest of my conquest that I get from my arena, me and my partner. This does more, increases damage done to players, minions and pets in arena or in BGs, well, any PvP zone really. PvP resilience is, mine's only at 56%. You want to keep that high as well, because you don't want some guy coming up to you, oh look, he's got no resilience, but critting you for 150k a hit. You're going to be dead in seconds. Next on here is the talents. Psyfiend. I use Psyfiend because whenever I'm getting completely nuked down, or my healer gets in trouble in arena, or even in a RBG, I just place it down and everyone in a 20-yard radius just gets feared out of the way for, I think it's 7 seconds, I believe. It says for 30 seconds, but it's only about 7 in arena and RBGs, which helps a lot. Phantasm. I use Phantasm because it gets rid of all impairing effects on me, and it doesn't actually consist of my every man for himself. It doesn't actually go along with that, so which helps quite a bit, to be fair, because then I don't actually have to use that trinket to get out of it. I've got Phantasm that gets me out of something like that, and it also makes you untargetable by a ranged target for 3 seconds, which I quite like. So if I just quickly do a fade, it says there, fade, movement speed is inherited, and I can't be attacked by a ranged for 3 seconds. From Darkness Comes Light, that gives you a 15% chance with Vampiric Touch to give you an instant mind spike that doesn't consume, really just doesn't get rid of your dots off a target, costs no mana, and does 50% extra damage, which helps a lot. You'll see in the glyphs why I use it as well later on. Angelica Bulwark, another one I use, gives me a 20% shield whenever I drop to 30% health. It only can happen every 90 seconds, but I get a 50% health back, really, if you think about it, if you add them up, 30 and 20, 50. Divine Insight, another one I use to give me instant, you get a 5% chance with your Shadow Pain to, when you use Shadow Pain, You get an instant Mind Blast that costs no mana as well, but also gives you Shadoworbs, which help a lot for your Devouring Plague when you're going to do a big burst on a target. Halo, another one I love to use because it heals all targets within a 25 radius and hits all targets within a 50 radius. This helps a lot for any AoE situation. If you look now, I'm just going to quickly do it on these dummies, they're all around me. 106k damage, oh sorry, 130k damage with 777,000 damage done within a second. Next I'll be going over the Glyphs. Glyph of Mind Spike, that's where From Darkness Comes Light and Divine Insight come into. I use Mind Spike whenever I get a From Darkness Comes Light proc. Normally if you dot up all the targets that you see in your range, you get it quite often. So you get the 2 Mind Spikes to give you the instant Mind Blast, because this glyph, every time you get a Mind Spike, reduces the cooldown of your next Mind Blast by 50%, stacking twice, so you can make an instant Mind Blast. Next glyph I use is Glyph of Dark Binding. Glyph of Dark Binding is quite good for when a healer is struggling to heal up in Arena or an RBG, and you have to press Prayer Mending, Bubble and Renew on yourself, and you can just then helps the healer out a tiny bit with a bit of heals. You can still stay in shadow form, which helps a lot because then you can carry on doing damage, and also it helps with the Leap of Faith. If you want to get someone out of a horrible situation they're in, you can then DPS straight away without having to go out of shadow form like that, to go back in, to press all your buttons again. Next one I use is Glyph of Master Spell. This is probably my favourite glyph, just because every BG in every arena I seem to go into, I always get a Pala that I burst down to about 10%. He panics, he bubbles, you can't get him. But because of this, it reduces cooldown by 1 second. This Master Spell now is a set 0.436 second cast. So if you look, boom, his bubble will be off straight away, because Master Spell now dispels bubble off a paladin and ice block from a mage, which also helps when they ice block and they're like, haha, you can't kill me. Oh wait, I've got a Master Spell. Also I use it for when if I'm in a big group and we're all battling in the same area, I can just sit there, press that, dispels everyone in that area, or of any really dots they have on them. Here I'm just going to quickly go over any reforging I've done in gemming. Gems I like to use at the moment. In the blue sockets I use the PvP Power Gem. The Stormy River's Heart, I think it's called if I remember rightly. I also use the Mastery Enchant on my gloves. As again there, I've stacked PvP Power. Here I've done PvP Power, PvP Power and Intellect as well. Also, just quickly with the gloves, I absolutely love that they brought this in. Any gloves you get from gear, you get another bonus when you sock it up your thing. As you can see there, equip reduces the cooldown of my high kick scream by 3 seconds. That is probably a favourite of mine, that they've brought that in. Here I use the PvP Power and the PvP Resilience gem. I use that in a yellow one because, as I said, I don't feel like I can get my haste cap at the moment. As you can see, I've still got a few PvE gear on, which isn't the best, but it still works quite well in Arena. PvP Power, PvP Resilience, again, yep. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching, hope you liked it. Please sub, comment and like for more videos.